What's up guys, it's Will here, back again, and today we're here to review the InArt Collectibles 1/6 scale Aragorn figure from Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. This is one of my most anticipated figures of all time, so I am looking forward to cracking it open and seeing if it delivers on its massive hype and expectations. But before we get started, I gotta give a huge shout out to 1/6 Kit for selling me this figure early. If you're interested in purchasing InArt figures or third-party figures, make sure to check out 1/6 Kit via the link in the description below. You can use my code WillFox for $10 off of your order. With that said, make sure to like the video down below, click the subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you're notified when content goes live on this channel. Let's jump into the review. Per usual, I want to jump right into what you want to see. Let's take an up close and personal look at this Aragorn figure so we can see what it's all about. After that, we'll unbox all of the accessories, go over any instructions that need mentioning, and go over my overall evaluation of the figure. Let's take a look. Alright guys, so this is your first up close and personal look of the InArt Collectibles 1/6 scale Aragorn. This has been one of the most highly anticipated releases, I'd say, in figure collecting history. This prototype was absolutely phenomenal, and undeniably there is a decline from the prototype to the final, but I gotta say, this head sculpt in hand is absolutely stunning. While the proto was like maybe an 11 out of 10, the best head sculpt that's probably ever been made, this is a 9.5 out of 10. Still extremely lifelike, still extremely Viggo Mortensen and Aragorn, but just not quite as good as the prototype still. I am extremely happy with this, and I think you're going to be really happy with it when you get it in hand. This is the premium edition, so it has rooted hair, as you can see here. You can fuzz it to your liking, so if you don't like what you see here, feel free to adjust yours when you get it in hand. It runs to about shoulder length. You can pull the strands over in front of the eye if you like. I have the one strand running over the left eye because I kind of like that look. I like being able to see a lot of Viggo's face on the right side and then a strand on the left that sort of runs over the eye there. But again, shoulder length, I'm really happy with it. Head sculpt quality, absolutely awesome. Paint apps, absolutely awesome. The eyes are adjustable. This is just how the eyes came out of the box, but you can pull the head off, adjust the eyes with the little purse system, and then you can give this figure a whole new personality. As far as the figure body itself, you can see here, very detailed, very weathered, and very intricate. The boots actually are super cool. They're a cloth-like material. You have cloth running up the pants and of course on the inner cloak, and then you have real leather on the outer cloak, which is absolutely awesome. You have real leather straps here that hold a bow and arrow quiver, and then of course you have a mat of some kind that also goes around the back as well. This is absolutely awesome. The belt is also real leather. The sword sheath I'm not a huge fan of because the way it hangs, it doesn't hang very naturally. As you can see here, it hangs a little bit lower just because of the weight of the sword. It drags the belt down because it's a die-cast sword, and with that, the sheath likes to not really hang vertically up like it should, like that. It wants to fall down. That's just the nature of the design of the sheath and the heaviness and the weight of the sword. Sometimes we want die-cast accessories, but we don't always realize what that's actually going to mean in practicality. But regardless, guys, this head sculpt is absolutely stunning. The outfit and the tailoring is awesome. There is so much detail in here, a lot of weathering and just overall dirt and grime effects and the paint applications. It feels lived in, and I think that's the goal, right? You have the van braces here, as you can see, with also a lot of detail. These things are absolutely crazy. You can see even the hands with Aragorn's ring there. Just awesome, guys. This thing is just so cool. I am over the moon with this. Again, a little bit of a downgrade, but look at that head sculpt. Are we really going to be upset about that? I'm not. All right, so I wanted to show you guys what Aragorn looks like with the cloak on as well. I'm going to mix in some B-roll shots. You can see multiple angles of how the figure looks like with the cloak, but I wanted to show you guys this look as well because this is an iconic look for the character as well. And the cloak is actually a really nice mesh fabric, and I like the quality of it. You can put the bow and arrow and the quiver on his back if you'd like. I've decided not to as of now because I kind of like the more natural, sort of more stoic look with just the cloak and without the bow and arrow quiver. So you do you, but I kind of like it how it is. But you can see here, the neck is much more concealed, obviously, with the cloak on. So if you prefer that type of look, you can definitely go that route, but it's a very nice display option. I like it. So looking at the internal packaging of this InArt Aragorn, you can see the rooted hair head sculpt is actually packaged in an acrylic container. This is the case for every InArt figure that is a premium rooted hair edition. This is done just to maintain the integrity of the styling with the head sculpt as they're shipping it to you. I think overall it does a pretty good job at that. It also helps the figure feel a little more premium because you got this head sculpt enclosed in this acrylic container. This one is a little bit different for a couple reasons. There's no magnetic neck, as the neck is actually attached to the body this time. So they have a little mock black neck in there. They also have a layer of foam padding at the top there, as you can see, just to maintain the integrity of the head sculpt on the top. I'm guessing they felt it would get all sorts of messed up if they shipped it out without that layer of foam padding at the top. But again, like I said earlier, I do think undeniably there is a drop off here in the head sculpt quality. The prototype was absolute figure head sculpt perfection in terms of artistry and just likeness. And this one is still very good, but there is a little bit of a drop off, as you can see. Still, so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. So by this point in the video, you've already seen what the fully assembled figure looks like. However, this is how the figure actually comes out of the box. So if I turn it sideways, you can see the belt has actually been uninstalled here. It doesn't come installed on the figure, which again is problematic to me. I hate installing things on the figure upon delivery. So I do think, again, InArt needs to change this. I'm not sure how many times I'm gonna need to say it, but it's gonna keep being said in my videos. The belt and the process overall needs to be changed. But overall, look at the detail on the outfit. I do think there's a lot of weathering. You can see here you got real leather components on the actual jacket itself. You can see the gauntlets, also a lot of detail on those. Great paint applications. Again, there are subtle weathering effects and just layers of costume design that I think really give this figure quite a presence on the shelf. Again, like I mentioned, the neck piece is actually attached this time, so it's a neck that is part of the body, and there's a little neck peg that will plug in there. But overall, yeah, I mean, I think this is looking really good outside the box. But let's take a look at everything else he comes with. So I wanted to show you this set of bloody hands first because I'm a little bit conflicted about these. These are fantastic in terms of how they look and the overall paint applications, but I'm just thinking of the practicality of them because the rest of Aragorn's outfit is not bloody. And it's not, look, it doesn't look like it's been through an intense battle where he's got blood all on him. It's not like the Battle of Helm's Deep or they've been through the Mines of Moria or anything like that. So these bloody hands are kind of gonna stick out like a sore thumb because the rest of the figure is not really designed to display this battle damaged, bloody type of look. So these are Aragorn's other sets of hands, and you can see the gloved hands actually go on the right-hand side. This looks like a sword-wielding hand, and this hand is to hold something, maybe one of his other accessories, so it's some sort of other wielding hand. You can see these hands actually have Aragorn's ring, as you can see, which is really nice. That goes on the figure very, very nicely. And then, yeah, those go on the left-hand side. You got a fisted hand and a bunch of other hands there. So really cool. I mean, these are magnetic, like pretty much every set of InArt hands. They have a tiny little magnet in there that connects to the ball peg, the wrist peg on the wrist there. So now we're moving on to some more exciting accessories. This is Aragorn's bow with a real string here, as you can see. So you could have him drawing to shoot a arrow if you would like, have him going full Legolas. I probably won't be doing that. This might be displayed on his back, just a more accessory type of piece instead of him actually firing the bow, because I don't recall too many instances in the trilogy where he was actually shooting a bow and arrow. That was more Legolas's thing. So Aragorn on my shelf will be just probably wielding this bow, but not in his hands. This is actually, feels like real wood to me. I cannot confirm or deny whether it is or not, because I'm really not sure. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but it honestly feels like it to me. And again, this is a real string here. There's actually a lot of pressure to it, and it does feel very tense. So it just honestly feels like a legitimate bow for a 1/6 scale. You could really just fire this thing. I think this is really cool. So very happy with this one. All right, so I left this part in the packaging. This is Aragorn's sword, Andro, the broken one actually. So for those who love Lord of the Rings, you'll remember this was the sword that Isildur actually used to slay Sauron way back, and it's been broken, and there's actually a reforged version that's gifted to Aragorn by Elrond, and that actually happens in Return of the King. But still, it's actually easier to see this as it's in its packaging. But you can see, if I take this out here, each piece is actually its own little piece here. So you can see this is the top and the actual hilt of the sword, and I think this actually looks really cool. For Andro, I do think that this is a really cool accessory, and you got all the other broken pieces. I'm not sure how you would actually use this on display, but I do think overall, I mean, I can't deny this is really cool, and this is actual die cast. It's cold to the touch, and the detail on it is just awesome. So I'm really excited to have this in my collection. So here you can see Aragorn's fully forged sword, and this is actually die cast as well. Even the sort of pommel here on the top is die cast, and the sword itself is die cast, which is just awesome. I mean, you can look at the detail on this. This is awesome. This thing is heavy, has some actual weight to it. I'm likely going to be putting this in Aragorn's hand, or at least putting it in the sheath and then putting his hand over it. One of those two. We'll do some poses here at the end of the video, but still, this is awesome. I love the detail on this sword. Can't say enough good things about it. I mean, look at that, guys. Look at that. So what we have here, guys, I believe is a bow and arrow without the string. So you could put this on Aragorn's back, have it set up, and I think it's going to look really, really cool. It's very tiny, so you're not going to be able to see, but there's two small little holes on each side there where you would put a string so you could draw and shoot an actual arrow. But nonetheless, I think this is really cool. You can see the detail, the little etching in there. I think this is also really, really cool. This again feels like real wood to me. And of course you have the etching and the paint apps in there with sort of a more greenish yellow type of color that gives it sort of a contrast there. I think this is awesome. Again, the level of realism, I do gotta say, it's pretty impressive. And what we have here is a sheath used to sheath Aragorn's sword. So you can actually put this on his belt, have him holding one of his swords, and it locks in really nicely. So I'll show you guys a little bit more of that throughout the video as we pose him up and get everything set up. There is an InArt instructional video that I will link everyone to. Again, I'm gonna leave them to the assembly of the figure. I think that is gonna be much simpler for you guys if you just watch that video instead of me just kind of repeating what they've already said. So I'll link that video in the description. Again, this is really cool. It actually feels like sort of a hard plastic or resin of some kind, but I do actually like the feel of it, and the look of it is even better, to be honest. So here we have an elvish dagger that is gifted to Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings films, and I do think that this one doesn't actually feel die cast like the other ones. This feels like more of a plastic, and it does seem like something you would probably have sheathed instead of him actually wielding it, would be my speculation. But again, you can see the gold accents on the pommel there, and the brown, of course, on the actual handle. And then you have actually just the silver blade with elven inscription on there. That is super cool. I really like the attention to detail on this one. Again, this is probably more of a sheath accessory, but again, it's better to have these things than not. And what we have here is a super tiny dagger. So this one you can see is probably going to be sheathed somewhere as well. But again, love the attention to detail on it. It's probably not going to be something that I end up using in my collection, but again, better to have these things than not. This does not feel like die cast either. And what we have here is a pipe. Gandalf came with something similar. Aragorn comes with one as well, because apparently everyone in the Fellowship be smoking that shit. So this is something that you could do. You could have Aragorn in a smoking pose if you would like. It's good to have the pipe. Again, it's Middle Earth. No one's really judging, so pretty cool. So what you're seeing here is Aragorn's Evenstar necklace given to him by Arwen, his love from the Elvish world. So this is Elrond's daughter, as you remember. So this is a necklace you can put on him, and I do think it's pretty cool. It might be hard to see some of the details because it is so incredibly tiny, but this is something you'll probably slot over the neck and then slide the head on, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. And yes, we do have a sheath for Aragorn's larger dagger from the Elvish land, so this is something I think is also really cool. Again, a nice accessory to accessorize Aragorn as much as possible. Put all the daggers and swords on his hip. Again, pretty cool. So what you're seeing here is Aragorn's quiver. You can see this thing has just an incredible level of detail to it. The paint applications give it that sort of worn look, but also just super realistic to the vibe and feel of Middle Earth and just Lord of the Rings in general. You'll actually be putting the arrows in the quiver right up there. I'm not going to enjoy putting this on the figure, but nonetheless, we're going to give it a go. Still, I think this is pretty cool and gives Aragorn that ultimate sense of realism and accuracy with all these crazy accessories like this. So this is an arrow that comes with this Aragorn figure. There are actually 4 of these included, so this is just one of the 4. They feel like a sort of plastic type of material, but they look super realistic. You can put these in the quiver, or you can simply have Aragorn shooting them with his bow and arrow. Your preference, but nonetheless, another great accessory to have. So now we are looking at a very important accessory. This is the InArt Aragorn base, the display base. And what's very interesting is they have like bits of like actual grass or something on here that's made to look like grass. You can actually feel it, and it actually moves around. It's super cool. The rest of it is sort of like a stone type of vibe. It looks like some sort of polystone or resin of some kind. You can see the Aragorn nameplate on the front there. Bottom of the base actually has the bottom that you can twist off. If I can do that, back falls off. Magnets you can adjust and move around. You can slide them up, you can slide them down, you can slide them across and adjust them to where you want Aragorn to be positioned, and his feet will stick to the magnets. Time will tell how significant and strong these will be, but nonetheless, you could actually even leave the back off if you wanted. Like once you put it down on the floor, it's not even going to matter. But this is super cool. You can see the back of the base and the intricacies there as well. Really like this base, simplistic, but it certainly does the job, makes you feel very Middle-earth. Love that. And what we have here is another costume accessory. You can see this is a bag that attaches to the back of Aragorn on his back, sort of near his shoulder area. It has a harness that you can attach to him, and we will be doing that on this figure in just a little bit. But yeah, really cool accessory. You can see the weathering effects. There's a lot of sort of dirt and sort of just general weathering applied to it. I think it looks nice. I like it. And last but certainly not least, we have a cloak for Aragorn here. It has dirt and weathering effects with sort of brown paint applications on it. And what we have here is Aragorn's cloak. It's this very soft, like meshy sort of fabric. It feels like athletic gear, like something you would actually wear when you're going running or working out at the gym or something like that. So the cloak actually is pretty cool. We'll try this on him in just a bit. But another cool costume accessory. As I mentioned earlier, there's no doubt that this figure experienced a downgrade in head sculpt quality from prototype to final product. Still, this is one of the best head sculpts I've ever seen on an action figure. If the prototype was an 11, this is a 9.5. And while that may seem like a substantial decline to some, I still find this figure incredibly satisfying. The hair on my copy required minimal futzing out of the box, but the experience can differ. I've owned every InArt figure that's released thus far, and I can tell you that some required more effort than others to display the head sculpt as intended. I don't have a copy of the sculpted head sculpt to compare, but I am a rooted fan these days after what InArt has pulled off with their first handful of releases. I'm sure someone in the comments won't prefer how mine is styled, but that's the thing about rooted hair. Not only is it more lifelike, but it also is more customizable. Feel free to style your copy as you see fit upon delivery. I love the tailoring though. From the leather overcoat to the fabric underneath, this figure is stunning in its details and accuracy. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I have not studied every single detail of Aragorn's costume, so if there are any small inaccuracies, they certainly could have fooled me. I also think the amount of accessories is very substantial, making these reviews longer by necessity in order to cover everything. Still, InArt packs a lot of value into these premium offerings, so I can't complain with the amount of options us collectors are provided here. But let's talk about a few issues I have with this figure. Firstly, I resent that InArt is requiring collectors to assemble the costume of the figure. I'm going to link the InArt unboxing of this figure in the description below so you can watch how to install the belt, but let me just tell you, it's not fun. I will continue to complain about this until InArt changes how they ship their figures. These are not statues, nor are they model kits. They can do better here. The display base is well designed aesthetically, but the magnets are still kind of sus. I'm happy InArt is innovating, but I'd like to see something different moving forward. I want an option for a crotch grabber for collectors who prefer more security, and these magnet bases, while adjustable, still give me anxiety. But if those are the most significant issues, I'd say we got a pretty damn good figure here. One other issue is the QC on the hands. The hands often require heating to fully peg onto the wrist peg. One of my magnets actually popped out on the right arm and I had to reinstall it myself. These QC issues happen with every company, but they need to be lessened by InArt moving forward. These figures are too premium and too expensive for these issues to occur. InArt is providing me with replacement hands and wrist pegs, so there is support there, but this still is an inconvenience on the part of the collector. Overall, the InArt Aragorn is a downgrade from the prototype, but by no means a disappointment. If you go from the best ever to one of the best ever, I don't think it's fair to call this figure a failure. This is easily one of the best figures I've ever seen, and it certainly blows any 1/6 scale Aragorn competition out of the water. It's not even close. From the paint apps to the tailoring to the rooted hair, this figure is simply premium quality. There are a few issues, but no figure is perfect, and this one isn't either. Still, if you're a huge fan of Aragorn, you're going to absolutely love this figure. I'm going to give InArt Aragorn a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any content related to 1/6 scale collecting when it goes live here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.